Welcome back, everybody. Right, so in case you missed it, then with us last week was Catherine Moore. She represents Western Cape show jumping. We thought we would show you that interview one more time. Catherine Moore from Western Cape Equestrian Sport is on the line with me now. Catherine, fantastic to have you along.
Thank you very much, JP. Thank you, everybody, for all that you're doing for all sports and equestrian.
Well, that's what we're here for, and the more you guys do, the more we're able to talk. So that's the fantastic part for us. Is it's not up to us. It's really, I suppose, I think that all the hard work comes behind the scenes with you guys. Is it a lot of work to make show jumping work?
It's a lot of work. A normal show, the show organizers are sort of in the routine. They can do that. They host, maybe one a month, and those run fairly smoothly. But this was the provincial annual championship, which is a huge show. It's the single biggest show for our school show jumping riders in the Western Cape in the year. And we put in a lot of effort to make it really fun for them, and equally to make it really valuable for all our sponsors. Without the sponsors, we don't have a good show.
Where does everybody
And we like
come
to
from?
pay back to them.
Catherine, are we talking about a lot of clubs in the Western Cape that end up participating in the event?
Yes. So the riders participate as individuals. They don't have to be part of a club team as such. But in terms of the regulations, to compete at any equestrian show, you have to be a member of a club, which automatically puts you into a district and into a province. We've got probably 10 or 12 active registered show-holding bodies and registered clubs in the Western Cape.
And Catherine, just tell us a little bit about the preparation building up to an event like this. I know that they obviously practice at their clubs, and then it must be quite a lot of work. I mean, we're still talking about animals that are involved here in terms of transport, preparation, feed, all these kind of things.
If you're not in horse riding as a sport, you don't really get a grasp of what it is. It is very, very different from other team sports, ball sports. You're dealing with two athletes, you're dealing with a rider, and you're dealing with a horse. You've got to work hard to make sure that they both come together on the same day, that they're both fit enough.
Yeah.
If your rider's not fit enough, your horse battles. I would say that most of these riders are working their horses, exercising their horses 5 or 6 days a week, maybe between 30 to 50 or maybe 60 minutes a day. But before you even get on your horse, you're putting in maybe 20, 30 or more minutes. Afterwards, it's cooling down your horse, it's preparing them to be let free. It's probably, for your higher level riders, 3 hours a day per horse of input.
Now, Catherine, tell us a little bit about what happens on the day itself. I'm assuming, in fact, that most of the athletes, would they even arrive the day before?
At an event like this, yes, most of them arrive. We ran this show Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Most of them arrived Friday. Many of them arrived Thursday. That's because they're traveling within the Western Cape. So probably most of these horses had to travel for not more than 6 or 8 hours. Right. If we travel further afield in the country, maybe the horses travel for a day, maybe 20 hours, then you would often travel a few more days in advance. Obviously, altitude comes into play, so there's a lot of prep in advance.
And tell us a little bit about
knowledge animal.
Tell us a little bit about the code itself. I mean, how do the athletes get judged? How do you end up winning an event like this?
So this show that we ran in George was show jumping, very specific discipline. The entire competition takes place in a fenced arena over colorful jumps. The poles are held up on normally a metal upright in a little plastic or metal, we call it a cup, that holds the pole in place. And the intention is to get around the course of normally 10 or 12 odd jumps without knocking any of these poles off and without your horse refusing to attempt a certain jump. The scoring in show jumping is very objective. If you don't knock a jump, if you don't refuse a jump, you have 0 penalties. And then it's the fastest rider that has the least penalties.
This is, of course, an Olympic sport, so we've seen it on TV. I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic when you see the horses. They're all dolled up. The athletes are dressed to perfection. Are these things that get judged as well, like your appearance? I mean, the whole effect, the whole presentation.
In some of the equestrian sports, yes, but in show jumping, no. Okay. There are certain requirements you have to meet to be allowed into the arena. And there's certain dress code etiquette. You have to have safety helmet. You have to have acceptable boots. It's expected that you wear either white or a lighter color pair of jodhpurs, your riding pants. You do wear a show jacket. The men have to wear ties. The ladies' collars have to close all the way up. But you're not allocated any subjectivity in show jumping.
Right. Now, how are we doing from a Western Cape show jumping point of view? Are our athletes coming through the ranks? Are you seeing a couple of champions that you're happy with?
Yeah, certainly within the Western Cape, we've got some phenomenal riders, great success stories. We had really superb riding at this show. We've recently had one of our Cape Town pony riders representing South Africa. They went and rode in Algeria. And our riders are doing very well when they head up to and ride in a larger circuit. They're just more ride Johannesburg, more competition. And when our riders head that direction, they certainly show that we know how to do it in the Western Cape.
And we're competing overseas. I mean, you mentioned that they're traveling.
Yes, we do have riders competing overseas. I would say at this stage, most of those that are going overseas that have ridden here recently are going over in South African teams and are riding borrowed horses. But those who make an international career of it have moved overseas and have a string of their own horses there. Because of the questions of moving horses internationally, we don't have South African riders who are based in South Africa riding overseas on their own horses often.
And just give us an explanation of the pony aspect, the difference between, well, why do you call it the pony versus a horse?
It's purely a size issue. The definition is that a pony measures 148 centimeters or less, and a horse measures above that. We allow our younger riders, those that are up to the end of the year in which they turn 16, our riders can ride as pony riders.
Right.
And from the year in which they turn 12, they can go junior. So your career would be you start as a pony rider, you move through to become a junior rider, and once you're 18, you move into the adult ranks.
Catherine, big event than it was in George, but what comes next now? I mean, we are also seeing a lot of excitement around sport at the moment. There's so many federations and codes getting back into action. Clubs are participating. Athletes are getting back, well, literally getting back on the horse, so to speak. And it's very exciting. What comes next now for you guys from a show jumping point of view?
So the next biggest show, well, in fact, the biggest show of the year, but the next one on the calendar would be the National Championship. We're waiting for clarity on dates, but that's likely the middle of December and likely in KZN. And then the riders again can compete as individuals, or the provincial teams do go through and compete at that show as well. We're loving the fact that restrictions are being lifted with COVID. Horses respond well to the energy of spectators. And particularly some of the horses, very noticeable when the crowd gets behind.
And from a venue perspective, Catherine, how are we doing from a facilities point of view? Are you, as an event organizer, show jumping, are you happy with all the venues? Are they back on track as well?
They are back on track. We've got some phenomenal venues. A lot of effort's been put into them. A lot of our arenas are grass-based. So another issue was the drought in the Western Cape, but those arenas have all come right. Other of our arenas are sand arenas with specific maybe rubber chip or fabric to them, and those have done well. A lot of money's gone in by all the venues. Yeah, very proud of our facilities in this area.
Catherine, we'll leave it at that. We've got some fantastic photographs that you sent us. It's very exciting. We're looking forward to following the next events and tracking the profiles of your athletes. And we'll say to you, thanks for joining us. We're looking forward to catching up again.
Magic. We look forward to that. And if I can just say well done to George Riding Club for hosting a great show, and to all the riders at the show. It was a good one.
Thanks, Catherine. We'll leave it there. So keep an eye out then for Western Cape Equestrian Sports, one of the provincial sport codes, of course national as well, and one of their codes being show jumping. Very exciting and certainly looks quite glamorous. We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to show you a rerun of the golf interview with Golf South Africa, Women's Golf South Africa President Sarah Brody. Back in a sec.